Well, thank you again for taking the time to speak with us today. Just wanted to ask you a couple questions about your industry and your career field. So for starters, could you tell us a little bit about your current employer or your current role?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm a sales marketing manager at Roku. For anyone who doesn't know what Roku is, but they are the number one streaming platform in America. So they sell like the streaming devices that you can plug into your TV and also Roku TVs that you can, watch streaming right from there. Um, and I've actually been at Roku since graduating from Holy Cross a little over 6 years ago now, which is crazy. And the company has grown a lot in the years since I've been there. We just recently passed like over 75 million monthly users, but it's been very cool to see, the company grow so much and so many people shift from watching TV kind of traditionally on cable TV to streaming it. So I definitely feel like I kind of hit the jackpot with getting to Roku at such a cool time. But as a sales marketing manager, so since being at Roku, I've always been on the marketing team and my role there has changed over the years. But for the past 2 years, I've been on the sales marketing team. So we support the advertising sales team at Roku. So obviously there's a part of Roku's business that just, creates the actual devices and the actual TVs. And then the other part of the business sells any like advertising you see when you turn on a Roku device or TV, whether that's like on the home screen or within any of the streaming channels you're watching. If a user sees any advertisement, that is the ad sales team at work. So our sellers are going out to brands and advertisers, like, for example, Coca-Cola, let's say. They'll go to Coke and, convince them to spend their budgets and their advertising dollars on Roku rather than, a traditional cable channel or some other form of advertising. So my team supports the sellers in kind of delivering those messages to their clients, pitching Roku to advertisers. We create any decks that they present or any materials they send to clients. So we really arm them with the right stories and narratives that they use to tout Roku to the market, and to tell our story to our clients. So that is the sales marketing team's role at Roku.
Fascinating. Sounds like there's a lot of responsibility and a lot of different things you do within one role. So that's
Yeah.
very very interesting.
Yeah.
Now as a expert in this field, what would you say would be some of the skills necessary in order to succeed?
Yeah. Well, I don't know about expert in the field, but for being on a marketing team for the past 6 years, I think these skills would really apply to any marketing job. Obviously, and this first one is going to sound very obvious, but just having really strong communication skills, I think, is absolutely key to any marketing job. And that's something that I felt, at Holy Cross, I was an English major, and the classes I enjoyed the most were the ones where I was writing papers or, having to debate in class or uh, state my position on things like that. So I really felt like I had strong communication skills in college that was really honed in all my classes. And I wanted to take that and into the workplace. So I figured, the right fields for me would be PR, corporate communications, marketing, anything like that. So I think all those roles, really the key thing that makes them all similar is having really great communication skills, being able to be, like I mentioned before, a storyteller. I think any marketer, really the essence of your job is being able to distill a message into one really clear, direct way and tell a story in a really engaging way. So that's what I do at Roku with our sales team. We take kind of a lot of complex or convoluted ideas from many different teams at Roku, our product team, our sales team, they all have opinions on how we should be telling our story and market. And it's up to the marketing team to take all those perspectives, take everyone's feedback and create one clear story that, makes everybody happy and takes everything all together. At the same time, our sales team, they're great, but they can often be really salesy. They can, make their pitches a little too maybe not as human as we'd like them to be. And so that's also our job, taking how they want to pitch Roku and making it something that is more pleasant to our clients or more understandable to our clients. So there's lots of different facets of needing to be a great storyteller. And taking complex ideas, making them easier to understand, taking many different perspectives and putting them all into one clear line of thought. So I think that's where the communication piece comes in. I think two other things that are really important: creativity, and then on the same side of that coin, being able to be a strategic thinker while also being creative. So oftentimes we're faced with challenges from our clients, an advertiser maybe being resistant to wanting to spend on Roku or having a lot of questions for us. And I think being able to be a creative thinker, thinking outside the box to find a solution to that problem is really important. Also being able to be creative in the way we tell our stories and market. So obviously Roku is in the streaming industry. There's a lot of competitors and different players in that space. And it's important for us to be telling our story in a way that's really engaging and it's going to grab people's attention and, make us seem better than our competition. And so that's where the creative piece comes in. But at the same time, you need to be a creative thinker and be conceptualizing, how all our narratives and materials are they working? Are they being proved out in market? Are people responding well to them? And, kind of adjusting or optimizing how we do things in real time so that we're responding to the market or responding to our clients in the best way possible. So I think being able to think both creatively and strategically is really important. And again, that's something that I definitely learned at Holy Cross through all my classes, proving a point in a paper, analyzing my point or thinking critically about something. Those are all things that I definitely honed in school and then was able to see that kind of come to life in the workplace as well.
Oh, very interesting. Yeah. And like you said, it almost seems like there's no one size fits all approach. There's always, like you mentioned, creativity. There's always a new way to attract the client. So that's very interesting. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a former Holy Cross student who's gone through, I'm assuming 4 years at this school, do you think, or is there anything that comes to mind about how students can prepare for a field such as this? Like for example, are there any classes or clubs that you recommend current students take on in order to be successful in this field?
That could be in anything, whether it's a club, theater, sports, whatever it is that you're interested in, volunteer work. I remember this from Holy Cross that, it was really encouraged on campus to be as involved as possible. I remember like the activities fairs being such a big deal, but really taking advantage of all those opportunities to get involved in clubs and activities and teams and I think this applies to truly any job, not just marketing, but the main thing that you can really do to prepare for the corporate world or a workplace of any kind is just being a team player and understanding how to work with others. But especially as a marketer, where, as I mentioned before, you're taking concepts and ideas and thoughts from so many different teams and making that one cohesive story. Being a team player is so critical there, and being able to kind of play nice with everyone and be a mediator, maybe in situations where maybe in my case, like a seller is having a problem with someone on the product team, or there needs to be some common ground there. Like I do feel like a marketer is kind of a mediator in that situation. There's someone who takes everyone's ideas and puts them into one. So really taking advantage of all the opportunities to just work with other people and figure out how you work best in group situations, and just kind of learn what your skills are in a group setting, because that is so critical in any workplace. And I think the more you can be a team player and kind of put ego aside to be there for everyone else, to support others and have others support you, that is so key in any workplace. And I think that's something that any team, any sport, any club will help you develop while you're at school. My senior year, actually, I took a rhetoric class that I absolutely loved. I still talk about it to this day as being one of my favorite classes in college. And basically it was like a public speaking class. And so obviously that's a form of communication as well, but that was just such an interesting, we learned the philosophy of public speaking, why it's so important, like the complete history of public orators and public speaking. And then there were 4 different instances where we had to give a speech to the class. And that was so fascinating. And I felt like really honed my skills in, verbally communicating, which again is essential in a workplace. If you're presenting something or pitching something, having the confidence to really speak publicly was was great. So I would say just, yeah, be experimental with the classes you're taking. Obviously, I know there's requirements and everyone has majors and double majors, but if you can take a class that's maybe like outside the box a little bit, I probably wouldn't have taken that rhetoric class if it wasn't senior year and I was, down to just experiment a little with what kind of classes I was taking. And it ended up being one that fascinated me the most. Yeah, I would say just take a risk because you never know what will spark an interest.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Thank you. Um, and as someone who has in this field for a couple of years now, is there anything that you wish you knew before you entered it, whether it be during your time at Holy Cross or before or after, but just before you entered the field?
Yeah. It's a good question. I think something that would have made me feel, I think, more confident my senior year was just knowing that, once I had decided I wanted to kind of pursue marketing, knowing that that can really be applied anywhere probably would have made me feel a lot better. So I think a great benefit of marketing is that obviously that's the field I'm in, but that field can be applied to any industry. So like a hospital might need a marketing team, a bank needs a marketing team. Like you can really take marketing to apply to any industry that fits your passions or your interests. So it kind of was coincidental that I ended up in the entertainment and tech industry. And I do really enjoy it. I'm, a consumer of entertainment. I love TV and watching TV. So that's great. I love being at Roku. But I feel, confident knowing that at any time throughout my career, if I decide, what, I'm really interested in fashion, or I want to work at a retail company, or I want to work, for a nonprofit and give back, all of those companies have a marketing team. So I could take the skills that I've learned at Roku on the Roku marketing team and apply that to any industry that fits my passions or interests. So I think just knowing that, it's universal and the skills you're honing in college and then at your first job, those can be applied to any industry. That should hopefully make everyone feel, calmer that, the first job you pick doesn't have to be the job you're locked into for life or the industry you're locked into for life. You can take everything you're learning and apply it elsewhere. And that's kind of how I felt about Holy Cross in general, my English degree. Like it gave me the communication skills that formed the foundation of being a good marketer, a good communicator. And then I could take that to really any job that interested me. So I think knowing that would hopefully make the job search a little less stressful. And then also on that note, if you do have a passion or an interest or a field, like an industry that really interests you, maybe it's tech, maybe it's entertainment, maybe it's healthcare, spending some time just researching or getting a little bit more in the weeds of that industry so that when you show up to an interview or a first job, you have some background to fall back on and talk to. And that's something I did not do. And I will say, like, tech is a constantly changing and evolving industry. And it's something that I'm always ramping up on and needing to learn more about. So I think if I had spent some time thinking like, oh, would I like to be in the entertainment industry or the tech industry? And I had done even just that like very, very initial bare bones research in the beginning phase, I might have had more background knowledge to really ground me in those initial first few years of working at Roku, where I was kind of scrambling to learn all the terms and learn all the key players in the industry. But obviously that's okay too to learn on the job. But I think just if there is an industry that really interests you, putting some thought into that as well.
Great. Yeah, thank you. And I just wanted to reiterate again, thank you so much for your time and for being with us today. Very, very insightful. Learned a lot. So thank you so much. And
Thanks, Brandon.